How did P. Diddy treat his closest employees? And what did those around him daily witness? What abuses did they suffer? Was P. Diddy the one who set another musician's car on fire just because he had been with his partner? What kind of threat did the man make to those around him as he descended into a dizzying spiral of madness? Why did the businessman's defense request the annulment of the judicial process? As everyone already knows, the trial of the music magnate began on May 5th of this year. That day, he was seen entering the courtroom, where over the course of 8 weeks, all witnesses of interest in his case will be summoned. Let's remember, the former hip-hop star is accused of using his fame to extort and force women into, quote, degrading sexual acts. The prosecution aims to show these were not isolated incidents, but part of a systematic sex trafficking scheme. That means P. Diddy, the leader of a group dedicated to organized crime for decades. Is that how he secured his celebrity status and privileged place in the art world? They'll try to find out in the coming months. If the jury finds him guilty, P. Diddy, winner of many awards and with several sales records, could spend the rest of his life in prison. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. To see what happened early in the trial, watch the first part of this video released last week. This time, our intention is to tell you what happened from May 22 to May 30, when new evidence was discovered about the violent and erratic character of the star-turned-criminal. Welcome to everything you need to know about the trial of Diddy Combs Part 2. If you enjoy this content and want updates, we can provide weekly summaries until a final verdict is reached. You can comment trial on this report if you want. It's also important to point out that if you want more details about the arrest of P. Diddy, the accusations that brought him to that place and the controversies that surrounded his entire career, including the allegations that he was behind the deaths of other well-known rappers, you can watch all our videos on the subject. Now let's get started. In our previous video, we shared the first statements from Jorge Kaplan, a former employee of Combs. The man said the rapper liked humiliating celebrities. To that end, he would record the parties held at his house, parties that often ended in intimate group encounters. This material became a subtle form of extortion. Anyone who messed with P. Diddy risked having videos of their private life leaked. Something that is not desirable at all in an environment where the image you show is even more important than who you really are. In his continued testimony, Kaplan said that during his 2 years with the defendant, he witnessed multiple cases of violence. In fact, on one occasion, he had heard glass breaking while they were on a flight to Las Vegas. When he went to see what was happening in the compartment where he was, his boss had seen him out of control with a glass of whiskey in his hand. Next to him, almost on the floor, Diddy's then partner was crying while covering her face. On another occasion, he had already witnessed how Combs threw fruit at girls, hurting them. The girls barely managed to cover their faces as they found themselves cornered by the imposing figure of the man. After telling all this, Kaplan admitted somewhat sheepishly that he had never intervened since he believed it wasn't something that concerned him. However, he also pointed out that the situation didn't let him sleep peacefully, and that's why he ended up resigning. Despite these statements, Kaplan and P. Diddy were confirmed to have stayed in touch. Left without a hand, he was left without a hand, he had lost his hand, he was left without a hand, he was left without a hand, he was left without it, he was left without his hand. Please. He had lost his hand, completely lost his temper. Incident with Kid Cody. By 2011, everyone commonly saw Combs mistreating Cassie. That December, the man learned his woman was having an affair with rapper Kid Cody. This led him to carry out a series of controversial actions that are now under the scrutiny of those closely following the case. Cody says things happened about like this. Cassie called him at 6 a.m., her voice trembling with clear fear and nervousness. She had told him that Diddy had discovered the affair they were having. Then she had asked Cody to go and get her. She felt she was in danger and didn't want to be alone. The musician had fulfilled the request, confused, and not really knowing what step to take next. Once with Cassie, they both went to a remote hotel to think about the situation and evaluate what options they had to face what was about to unfold. However, things would escalate much faster than they expected. As they processed the situation, Cassie got a call from Clark, Combs' assistant then. Remember the name La, as she would also testify and reveal truly shocking details. For now, what matters is this. Clark warned Cassie that both she and Cody should go to the latter's house since P. Diddy was heading there. Clark said they should confront him, as running away would only make things worse. According to Cody's account, they had a brief discussion about whether it was a good idea to follow those instructions, but in the end, they did. They traveled silently, paralyzed by nerves. When they arrived at his residence, they discovered that Combs was no longer there. None of that reassured them. The house was in disarray, the gifts that Cody had bought for Christmas were opened, and his dog was locked in the bathroom. The rapper realized that they obviously wanted to intimidate him, showing him how easily they could get into his home. Realizing the seriousness, they decided it was time to call the authorities. Chris Ignacio, a 16-year veteran of the Los Angeles Police Department, verified Cody's statement. He had discovered the report and had indeed found the house, just as the other had said. After this was evaluated, the prosecution proceeded to the next point. Soon after, Cody's car caught fire. Accident or P. Diddy kept flaunting his thug attitude and impunity. Looking into that almost caused the trial to be declared null. What? The killer. Cody explained that he found his car totally burned. The testimony was accompanied by photos showing how rapper Jabiro's car had been reduced to a pile of black smoking metal. The forensic report states that someone opened the Porsche's top and threw a Molotov cocktail inside. Lance Jimenez, an arson investigator, confirmed that a bottle with a burned cloth was found in the center console of the vehicle. The expert clarified that since the bomb hadn't exploded, the damage wasn't more severe or widespread. Jimenez's verdict was that the fire had been intentional. This statement was considered of vital importance and would have meant a major breakthrough. But then, the man said something that put the continuation of the trial in jeopardy. And the thing is, the investigator revealed at the end of his account that some fingerprints had been collected from the scene of the incident. Fingerprints that had later been mysteriously removed from the investigation file. His tone implied Combs might be behind the material's disappearance. Chaos erupted. P. Diddy's defense argued there was no evidence their client could make evidence disappear in such a serious investigation. Taking that for granted would mean believing that Combs could bribe the authorities, which would even invalidate the very trial that was taking place. Furthermore, according to Combs' defense, this kind of insinuation could have a coercive effect on the jurors. Due to this, the defense requested the trial's immediate annulment, causing many in the courtroom to hold their breath. Could everything fall apart because of an unfortunate statement? Was the request justified? After several tense minutes of debate, the judge rejected the request, but annulled the fire investigator's testimony first. Many believe that this is very convenient for P. Diddy. However, in the following days, he would continue to be the center of more and more terrible accusations. Do you remember Clark, his former assistant? Well, it's time to go back to her and delve into her chilling testimony. Thank you for assistance from one of the most important P. Diddy. P. Diddy is one of the most important assistants. P. Diddy assistance is one of the most important. P. Diddy assistance is one of the most important assistants in history. P. Diddy's assistance is one. P. Diddy assistance is one of the ones in history. P. Diddy assistance is one of the most important in history. P. Diddy assistance. At 4 a.m. the next day. According to his words, Combs had days when he was charming and when his ambition was contagious. He always repeated that he wanted to break the barriers that the white world had imposed on people of color in the always competitive world of business. On those days when the rapper was energetic and in a good mood, everyone worked hard, but in an atmosphere where adrenaline seemed to fill everything. However, over time, those days gradually decreased until they nearly disappeared. Most of the time, the businessman seemed rather irritable and mistreated everyone around him out of fear of losing their positions. No one confronted this mistreatment, which had led them to get used to working under excessive and unjustified pressure. During the last part of his interrogation, the prosecutors questioned Clark about why, with all this background, he had decided to return to work. A key part of her statement came when Clark mentioned that on one occasion, Combs had forced her to leave her apartment and get into a car. When asked their destination, the rapper allegedly said they were going to kill Kid Cody, but thankfully did not follow through. These words emphasize that the musician truly intended to get rid of Cassie's lover that infamous December. After this, it was Deontay Nash and Mela Morales' turn, Combs' stylist and makeup artist, respectively. Both agreed that their employer had always behaved unpleasantly and that he never hesitated. When it came to hitting or overpowering his partners in front of others, he insulted everyone unscrupulously, and if anyone contradicted him or dared to confront him, he would start making threats. These threats often implied he could prevent them from ever being hired again. This further confirmed the businessman's tyrannical and manipulative nature. The most shocking part would come with the statement of another former employee, Mia, a girl who, besides being subjected to all kinds of workplace abuse, was assaulted by the accused. According to what she revealed, Mia worked as a personal assistant and later as director of development and acquisitions for Combs' film business. Mia described the experience as a real roller coaster. The constant business ups and downs had kept her numb, subject to a maddening pace in which she had lost track of her own needs. Before she knew it, she was living only for P. Diddy. The man frequently congratulated her and promised to trust her more, all just to then spend hours insulting her for no apparent reason, belittling her and making it clear that he would never trust a woman to manage his finances. Mia also said that sometimes P. Diddy pushed her violently, had thrown her against walls and even into a pool. He also threw things at her, from books to a computer. The worst part was near the end of the testimony when Mia recalled that P. Diddy had first invited her alone to his room. There, the world. The musician had given her a drink that, suspiciously, made her extremely dizzy, and then he proceeded to make advances toward her. Mia also revealed that Combs would have her spied on when she was with Cassie. If both of them did anything without his permission, Sean would threaten them with doing something truly terrifying to them. Mia ended with a bold statement: "I have to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. I also have a moral obligation, because when they silence and scare you, these things keep happening to others." Remember, her imprisonment occurred on September 16, 2024. The rapper Diddy Combs is being held at the Metropolitan Detention Center in Brooklyn, New York. Since the testimonies are progressing well, the trial is expected to last a total of 6 weeks, so a verdict is expected before July 4. What will be discovered in the coming weeks? What new atrocities will come to light? Will there be any discussion at some point about the network of accomplices that must have existed for someone like Combs to get away with it for so many years? As new trial dates are awaited, the public remains expectant, wondering if justice will finally be served. If you want to know how everything continues, don't forget to leave a like and comment with the word trial. I leave here in recommendations the first part of this trial.